Mitchell. And that will be a big duel. So I carried out a survey. And this is what the people say. I travel from Maran, right up to Lauriston. Is one conclusion. The gun is in hand. I travel from Marian, right up to Union. They sing it one song. The gun is in hand. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. The gun is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. The gun is the man. This is big competition for the upcoming election. Experience versus young blood. The people's voices must be heard. I travel from Tom Hill right up to Liberal Hill. Is one conclusion. The gun is the man. I travel from Leicester right up to Belvedere. They sing in one song. The gun is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. The gun is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. The gun is the man. All over the diaspora, every man can click on fever. They say forget but stay for hands. The island need transformation. I get cut from London, Montreal, Washington. Is one conclusion. The gun is the man. And every Grenadian throughout the Caribbean, they sing in one song. The gun is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. The gun is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. The gun is the man.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gem FM. I'm your host, the Sheriff. Yours truly, John Gillis. Welcome to a special production with no other than Ghana, Liverpool. Right here on Gem FM this evening. With our special guests. Please love, like, and share as you come on in. Share. Invite your friends for interesting evening. Right here on Gem FM. Good evening, Pastor Daphne, Louis Noel Ambrose, and all the folks listening around the world. Welcome to Gem FM on a Thursday evening. Yes, Deacon is the man. Well, tonight we have Mr. Garner in the house, and he is the man of the hour right here on Gem FM. We're talking about his background and his present state of affair as it relates to politics, union, and family. And most recently, his chairmanship of the NDC support group in Toronto. All right, Canada. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit tight and feel free to ask questions in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer what we can for you tonight. And those questions we will have answers to, we'll find them for you. All right. So, with me tonight is Mr. Ghana Liverpool. Welcome, Mr. Liverpool.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Yes, welcome to Gem FM. Your first time here. So, Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the honor is mine to have Mr. Gunner Liverpool right here with me tonight. We're talking a lot about NDC and about Mr. Gunner himself. So I will let you introduce yourself and let the people know who you are and why you're here tonight.
Okay, well, I'm Gunner Liverpool, McLeod Monroe from Grenada, Maddie St. Patrick's, Lamont St. Patrick's. And I'm here tonight because I took on the task. I was elected to be the interim, to be the election steering committee chair. And in due time and sudden actions that took place, I ended up being the interim chair of the NDC Canada Support Group. My role right now is to promote membership in the NDC and nominations for the upcoming election on August 27th. So that's why we're here.
All right. So that you set the stage for that. I want to ask you about you, your family, your background in Grenada. Before you migrated to Canada, what were you doing in Grenada? What was your involvement? Let's go back a little bit before 1983. So let's tell me a little bit about you coming into 1983 and leaving 1983 behind you, coming to Canada. Okay. Give me a little background about who you are, synopsis.
No
in that, your family background and the double-sided, the McLeod and Monroe family.
No problem. So actually, I'm the only child of Maureen Monroe. Deceased, passed away last year. And she was a teacher, a crafts person in Grenada. She worked at Waltham Technical School back in the 70s and 80s, and later on moved to Riverside Secondary School. Public school, where she continued on with her craft. She was one of those people who really enjoyed Grenada. She had the opportunity to come to Canada, but she chose Grenada. She did everything from Governor Plum wine to breadfruit balls. I saw Victoria was having a breadfruit festival, and I was telling somebody, Mom is the one who taught them, how to do all of, she made breadfruit salad. She made all kinds of stuff with fruits. As I said, if there was something going in Grenada, she made a jam, a stew, a preserve. She baked wedding cakes. She did straw craft. We used to go down to Mount Craven on Sundays and cut the wild pine and boil it to do the straw walk. And, so as a kid in Grenada, I got to explore Grenada with Mom. She did classes in Butchgrove, doing macrame. So she did a wide variety of her crafts. It wasn't just, and she had private lessons where she taught people, and she just really loved Grenada and the opportunities it presented. Right. My dad was Gleston McLeod, the builder from Lamode. He actually built the bus terminal in Sotez before he passed away about over 15 years ago. So I grew up again going around to construction sites during summer in school, and during the summertime when school took a break. So wherever there was you jumped in the car with Dad for the day, and you kind of go and
happy go lucky dad. Someone for a day. Yes. So I know you talk about family here. Which school do you attend?
I went to Sotez RC, and then I spent a year and a couple months in McDonald's College.
Okay, so in the school, St. Patrick's RC School is kind of dear to me. I live Dunsley Hill, in Luton here, there, and my running was Kali John. Okay, was he your principal? Yeah. Okay, so that time he moved to Grenville. Then we moved to Grenville too, and then he became the principal at the old church in Grenville as well. So I think both of us have the same principal at one time. In your community, growing up, what are the things that influenced you to become who you are today? What are the influences? Who are the influencers in your life growing up?
Well, I
from mom and dad.
I think one of the things that really impact me and is just. And living in Grenada at that age, realizing how rich we were, as kids, we were free to go to the river. You know, we were resourceful enough to create cricket bats from coconut branches.
Yes, yes.
You know, my neighbor was a seamstress. So in the summertime, I remember one year we decided we wanted to make baseball hats.
Oh.
And, you know, I mean, we did school bags, you know, I mean, Kevin Noel and Sandy Noel and Katya Noel, they know they're out in Long Island, New York now. But yeah, so we had the gardens were my neighbors, so we were right there by the boat bridge in Maris,
yes.
Right, so we did track and field. You know, I mean, Grenada was always growing up. But one of the things that really impacted me was during the revolution, I saw how we worked together. I remember we didn't have, we used to have those metal bins by the road, and they decided they wanted to build. If you clean and you did stuff, the government would put it in place.
Right.
At RC school at the time, the Anglican school had their netball court. We didn't have anything.
Right.
And I don't know who made the decision. I wasn't part of the decision making at the time, but they came up with the idea that the students on Friday afternoons would help jog the dirt from the front yard. We just had a driveway, and we're gonna dump it in the back. So after a half day, after lunch, everybody came outside, took a bucket, and moved the whatever you could. And up till today, we have a big fence, netball court with seating and stuff. And that happened where, as a community, we were able to get together and do something. So living in Grenada, that was one of the biggest impacts, is seeing that as people working together, there wasn't much we couldn't accomplish.
Right, right. Now, talking about revolutionary influence, and a lot of people will go back, drop their memory back to 1979 and 1983. The pioneer movement, and the youth movement. How has that impacted your life?
Well, again,
as a youth growing up in Grenada during that period.
I remember listening to the programs on Sundays and whenever it was on. And what I think it did, because I left home just before the end of the revolution. I left home October 1st, 1983.
Okay.
And it was a shock, because when you traveled, Canadian kids weren't doing anything that we were doing.
Right. For sure.
You know what I mean? You didn't hear kids under, you know what I mean? It might be Sesame Street or something, but it wasn't real kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
So really growing up in Grenada, getting the taste that we could, that we can, and that, you know, we are able to do what is, you know, programs, the whatever, it empowered me. And I think my mindset was that, you know, guess what? If they could do it, I could do it too.
Right, right. I always have discussions with people who come to Canada. When you came to Canada, or when you were about that ticket in your hand, and you came, what was in your mind? What was your thinking? I'm coming to Canada. I'm leaving one environment, come to another one. What was in your mind? What do you think I'm going to do when I get here? What are you looking forward to?
Well, living wasn't my choice. Again, I was my mom's only child.
Okay.
And, Mom was afraid of guns. As the only child, you know, we had a relative of us that was in the PRA, and he was in the house with his gun and stuff like that.
Right.
And my aunt, Sylvia Liverpool, which married Vince C., and that's how she adopted me. He was one of the long family history on getting her here, getting me there. But she moved from England to Canada, and she adopted me up. And Mom was more than willing to let me go during that time of the revolution. Again, I left October 1st, and by October 21st, we had the situation, and then we had the American invasion. So I really didn't have a say. It was basically, it's time for you to go.
Right.
And Mom, you know, made that decision, and, you know, paperwork came through in time, and Mom went with me to St. Vincent back in the day. Because I went St. Vincent to Barbados, and I was on the floor, and I came with my aunt, which I never met in my life. And, actually, Carol Jean came to the airport because she was in Grenada at the time. She and a couple of family who knew me from there. That was here, came, and met me at the airport, and we went shopping at Banging Arrows.
I got one Duffin right here, right? Duffin and Eglinton. I know that. I remember that one.
Right,
yes.
Banging Arrows on the Sunday to Monday we registered. Tuesday I was in school.
Okay.
So, it was one of those things.
So tell me about that, because I bring you from Grenada, now you're in Canada.
Yes.
You attended school. What was the cultural difference for you coming into Canada and getting into the school system that is different from Grenada? A lot of people complain about the system not prepared to handle Caribbean children. Did you find anything in that nature that the teachers was not really understanding the culture from which you came and how you able to evolve in the system?
I was blessed. I went to Peter Port's public school at Keelan Wilson there. And it was the best experience. I came in October, so I was a little late. But the teachers, God bless me, because I had really great teachers who supported, give extra work, whatever. The first summer I came, I went to summer school. The next year I was hired by the board.
Oh.
And I worked there 10 years as
the school board?
The school board.
Wow. That's a blessing.
Yeah, I got hired and I worked summer school as a teaching assistant for 10 years.
Wow.
And I was able to help transition kids coming in, and a really, really good experience. And then it didn't just stop there. We moved to Thornhill, went to Langstaff Secondary School, and over there again, it was a melting pot. There was not a big enough group that people were clinging. Right. So we all, whether you're Indian, Chinese, whatever, there was just that we are.
Yes.
And that led to some really good opportunities. Starting with Hurricane Gilbert in Jamaica. Right. Again, I'm a about 15, 16-year-old kid in a public school in not of the GTA.
So talking about 15, 16 years old, you started teaching around that time?
Yeah.
In Toronto?
In Toronto. As a teaching assistant. Yeah, I know. I say it's what is my attitude on my I'm not saying I was the best student, but
but something
the
about
teachers gave me the opportunity. I was able to apply the job. While we were there, we realized, and there's a couple of Fred Reserve and a couple of people. We decided as young teenagers we're going to be entrepreneurial. Right. So we started buying patties and stuff and use that, right? So we
take the leadership role and empower yourself in the environment. You remind me of myself, my younger self too, because at age 14, 15, I was president of my school, commander of my school, Cadet Co. And by 16, 17, I end up in the military. Okay. And not by accident, by design. I planned it myself without my parents knowing. Mom. But I did all those things. And I think you're going to have a similar background growing up in Grenada and coming here. So you come here, become a teacher, and we'll take a song in a minute, but I know that you've been involved in the union movement. How did you get involved in the union movement? Coming from Grenada, coming in and be part of the union, and tell us about the union movement and how you get involved in that.
Well, things evolve, and sometimes I didn't plan it. Again, I got involved, I saw needs, and I saw what I could fill in. So going back to high school, I saw the situation in Jamaica, went to one of my teachers, says, hey, could we do anything? They said, well, we do announcements, you can make an announcement.
Okay.
So I went in, they did the first announcement, a little nervous, by the end of the first week, I started doing posters, Jamaica had Gilbert, they need our help, it was back in the late 80s,
So you get involved.
So we got involved.
Yes.
And then, I guess that generally, and that's one thing I like about that transition is once you realize something is possible. So something says, let's call it, because we had done a challenge for each classroom to bring in donations. Right. So I said, well, what could we do to reward the classroom? So I decided I was going to call a couple pizza places. I said, hey, we're doing this, could you? People started bringing pizzas to the school. Wow. Which is, as a West Indian kid, you will never think that, you get free pizza.
Right.
Just my phone call. So then that led to my activism in getting involved in other stuff. I ran for student council, as you said, I got involved in politics at that level. We had a a trustee for a day as a part of Tunnel Richmond Hill. You know what I mean? So you went in, you know.
So get involved in politics that way. I will get into that because I want to talk about politics because transition you from this union operation into the politics,
yes,
and then get involved in what you're doing right now. But tell me something.
No, I didn't answer the union stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, that's what happens. People don't. Too often we believe that, you know, there's a magical moment. There's steps that build to something. Sometimes you're not even sure where it's leading.
Right.
But it's just taking that initial stuff and realizing the opportunities and other things that come. And then I was rewarded because of my involvement. And I had a full front page article in the Richmond Hill newspaper of my involvement in there. The school nominated me to go to the Terry Fox Youth Center for a week in Ottawa. And, you know, got involved, you know, I met the Prime Minister and other stuff at the time. You know, so it was, that's what I'm saying. You don't necessarily know, but if you follow your heart and you follow the need, right? So got into finished. I was at York and I was expecting my first son. Was looking for a job again. While I was there, I got involved with people with disabilities, and they were in our school. It's an integrated school, so I used to go volunteer, did some stuff. I left university and I'm looking for a job, and there was a job dealing with disabilities. I've never been trained.
Right.
I applied. I got an interview, and I said, "Hey, guess what? This is what I did." And, you know, I mean, right? So it was a good time, and the Ontario government was closing some of the institutions up north.
Okay.
So there was money bringing back people into the community.
Right.
I got hired and had 3 months training paid on the job.
Right.
And I spent 18 years in the field.
Wow.
You know, so and while I was there, the opportunity came up to, actually, I didn't even run. I got into the meeting and they were like, you know, Garner. And I got elected to be president of that, and with the union of local 597.
How long you been there?
I know I've moved on from that, but I spent 18 years there as president.
Wow.
I was one of the first. Actually, I'm the grandfather, I tell them, of the youth caucus at OFSU. I was one of the people who went and did the board presentation for the Workers of Color Equity Group and stuff like that. So we've done a lot of that kind of work. And even with OFSU having a float at Caribana, we were instrumental in getting that happen. We were instrumental in getting that happening. We tried to save Caribana as an organization, you know, I mean, in the sense of helping us, same kind of stuff I'm trying to offer here, some of the logistics and the know-how, you know. But it's been a good experience, you know. I mean, we actually, even with the Workers of Color, we're still involved with the migrant farm workers and stuff like that. So we got people in Windsor and stuff that still supports and goes out and bring care packages and stuff like that to them, right? So and again, it's seen a need, and that's really the hallmark of you know, I mean, community service. It's seen a need and coming up with a way of helping it, resolving it, making it better for the people involved.
Right. I see a pattern here. And what we see, and there is this idea that the youths today lack focus. They gone astray sort of. Given your background and rising to the occasion that you have come to, what advice would you give to the young people today? Because we see 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 18-year-old, 20-year-old involved in violence. As the so-called grandfather, you say, of those things now. What would you say to the young people today?
Get involved. You know, I mean, I think too often, and I even bring that to churches. I says, guess what? Too often we have new people and we say, you don't know enough, you don't have enough experience. And that's when they're excited. Right. We put them in the back and say, wait, you know, until you're ready. When they got the knowledge, then there's no enthusiasm. Right. I say, let them lead with the enthusiasm, show them, give them opportunities, mentor them. You know, I mean, I'm involved in a couple of men's ministries and stuff like that, and really just taking them under our arms and giving them the opportunity. One of the things when I was in the union, we had to educate the union. When we were there, most of our publications didn't have anybody that looked like us.
Right.
So we actually had to bring it to the board, and we had a session, and actually we actually used a box of crayon and showed with a reflection. Right. We right now, so we actually were able to be able to vet a lot of the stuff before it got published. Okay. And get some more inclusion and get some reflective, because if you don't see a young person in leadership, it's like the US politics. If you don't see a young person in a leadership role, or even as a mentor, or being in a program like that with you, why would anybody think that a young person should be here? Right. So the idea is having them even within our groups and our community groups and our church groups. Bring them in as an understudy, bring them in as a, so you could mentor, because they're going to be taking over in the future. But there's something that happens when it's magical when you realize it's possible. As a young person, you go through the motions, sometimes you don't know, sometimes things don't click. But when you see that, guess what, in what you're doing here, that, you can have your little studio, you don't have to be big at, some office building. That they might maybe just start with a podcast and say, I'll talk about whatever, but things lead to stuff. And that's what I learned in my life, that, it's not about, as I said, even with the NDC situation, it was never my intention. I just joined and wanted to hear what was going on. And I saw some issues in the way, growing up in the union and conducting meetings, Robert's Rules of Order, and there's certain,
some things that have to be done and that have to be put in place to make it work smoothly. And you observe that there is some missing.
Yes, and basically that's what I offered. People heard it. They offered, they nominated me to have the steering committee for the election.
All right.
This led to the situation we are in.
We'll get right back to that after this. Coming up, we're going to come back to Mr. Garner. But before we do that, we're going to play a song. And don't forget, coming up this weekend, Saturday, the 12th of August, the Gem FM Family Day is taking place at All Days back at Shepherd and Batter Street, right up north. So be part of it. Come on out and be part of it. But I'll take a song. I'll be right back with you.
Oh Lord, we tired. We want to change. We tired. Oh yo. I said we tired. We can't take it again. Come on, we tired. We can't take it again. So we moving forward. Move the country forward. With NDC forward. Oh, we going forward. Too long. It's lies and mama guy. Too long. Empty promises in my eyes. Too long. You ignoring the people cry. Too long. All your days since 1995 and you don't do nothing. Only when election time coming, that's when poor people does get something. From all that bitch and passport you selling, them actions they telling. All you feel like grenade and begging. It's time to call off the winning. We don't need that this time, it ain't working. Because we tired and we can't take it again. For people tired and they can't take it again. The youths them tired and they can't take it again. Canadians tired and they can't take it again. So we're moving forward. Move the country forward. With NDC forward. Oh, we going forward. Time for all you to rest. We want a team that is young and fresh. We want to bring out the best. So it's time for all you to press. Pension have to restore. Public sovereignty permanent. Agriculture will grow. Harry will get government. Local and the south. Caring and great in the west. And all up in the north. So where we going from here? Andy Williams will move forward. Jonathan Lackett will move forward. Kevin Andrews will move forward. Lennox Andrews will move forward. Deacon Mitchell will move forward. forward, forward. Brother Joseph will move us forward, forward, forward. Kevin James will move us forward, forward, forward. Quincy Britton will move us forward, forward, forward. Joseph Andal will move us forward, forward. We tired. Oh, people tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. The youths them tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. Canadians tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. So we moving forward, forward, forward. Move the country forward, forward, forward. With NDC forward, forward, forward. Oh, we going forward, forward, forward.
Okay, folks, we're back, and we're back with Mr. Garner, and we're moving forward. Yes, we're moving forward. Forward. Yes, man. This is transformational period that we're in, and during the commercial, we were talking about things about you, and you make mention of a charity that you do with men and stuff like that. Just a little bit about that, because I want to bring, you know, your whole kind of a life into who you become and what you're going to be doing going forward. So the charity that you talk to me about here, what is it about, and how did that help men, and where you are with it, and you know?
Yeah. Well, I had an experience. You know, I mean, a lot of times, you know, our families don't always go the way it was, and based on my experience, and again using my experience as union president, doing arbitration negotiations, dealing with WSIB and stuff like that, I realized that in Canada, as we say, the system appears to be rigged in the sense that women, a lot of times, because of their income levels, could get legal aid. Men don't, just naturally because of the kinds of jobs we do and the stuff like that. So with my experience in labor law, I'm a graduate of Canadian Labor Congress Labor School.
Okay.
I saw a need where I know we say men are not there, men are not, involved in their children's life. And part of it is there's a legal process. A lot of men try to avoid the courts because it costs money. You need to retain a lawyer, you need easily $2,500. You know what I mean? And every visit, exactly. So a lot of times, like ostriches, men stick their head in the sand, avoid it. In the meantime, the children are growing up. Right. So what Men Legal Support does is provide opportunity where men could get help doing the paperwork to go to court to get visitation. So we'll help you do the application, do the forms, make your motions, all that stuff. But we need you to be involved, because the idea of the whole concept is that we pay it forward. There's going to be another man that you could mentor, because what's wrong with men, they don't see it until it hits them. Right. And then when they kind of duck out or whatever, and the kids grow up. And then with me, I end up even with court orders, I end up growing up with my kids was strange, and you know, I mean, there are other situations where I'm not going to get into. But what I'm hoping is that it doesn't have to be that way for other men. Right. So basically, if you contact us, we help you with the paperwork. So you do your motion, you do your filing, you got to sub the paper. There's a whole series of stuff you do. So you assist men in the process to get yourself together. To get access to their children. So once you family court, unlike criminal court, you get in there, you can actually talk to the judge. You don't need somebody to represent you. Right. But to get there, you need to file all those paperwork, sub the person, give notice, file it with the courts. And that's where the forms are free, but there's maybe 200 of them. How do you know which one to take? Right. So basically narrow down the process and I give men an opportunity, and specifically about visitation. The court will not decide. They keep you from seeing your children, whether you're paying child support, alimony, whatever. A lot of times, they try to tie it in, but the judge won't keep you from your children. You know what I mean? And going back to the Bible, restoring the hearts of the children.
Right, Father. Yes. So it seems to me that you have been in leadership role for a long time. You seem to be a solution-oriented person to solve problems and to deal with conflict resolution and stuff like that. Tell me, as a leader, and there's a lot of leaders out there, they say they're a leader, they're leading, but when it comes to conflict resolution, they stumble on that. They cannot deal with conflict. As a leader, how are you able to rise to that occasion, to solve problems, to resolve conflicts? How do you, where do you get that enough vibe from that to flow out of you? How would that come about?
I gotta say, it's growing up in the church. I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist. One thing you understand when you get to understand God always, he has rules, there's set standards, and there's always a way of making it back. And that's the same problem.
Right. Yes.
There's a restoration process. Right? So you can get caught up in all the sins and forget about the cross.
Right.
And that's the same thing with solving problems. You don't get into the TV, you don't get into all the side talk. You need to stay focused on what the goal.
Right.
I tell my employees, I says, I'm a supervisor as well. I tell my employees, guess what? I provide the inspiration for your perspiration.
Right.
You're like a family. We expended a lot of money in training and getting you to a level. Right. My job is not to fire you. My job is to make you the best employee that you could be.
Amen to that.
Right? So part of it is, yes, you might be late. You might, have a bad attitude or whatever. That's not my goal. So we could sit and argue about that all the time.
Right.
My job is, guess what? How do I get you
to perform?
Right? And as they say, different people need different stuff. Some people, the prestige of the job. Some people, the promotion. Some people, right? So you got to find where people are, and that's how you solve because everybody has a need. If you could find that need, and they won't tell you what the need is.
Right.
The conflict is just a symptom of the problem.
Yes.
Right. But we too often focus on the symptom and not realizing that by restoring the person to whatever that issue is that's causing the symptom.
Yes.
And doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It's not a perfect world. But sometimes when we reach out, sometimes when we give people opportunities, sometimes if we just listen to them, you'll be amazed that that's all they want.
Exactly. I think you make it really clear because as a leader, and I'm going to leadership and to election and stuff for the NDC as well, it's often said that everything rises and falls on leadership. I guess you'll agree that and leaders should create leaders out of followers. You must not maintain followers, but create leaders. Just for when you time up, when you have run the race, you have poured yourself, it pours like a drink offering. You pour yourself, the people you pour yourself into, they will arise and become the leader of tomorrow.
Yes.
So as a leader, I know, and from that talk we have in here right now, it tells me that you're well positioned mentally to lead the charge of a group organization, because you have been doing that all your life up until now, and now you'll be interim chairperson of the NDC Canada group. What do you look forward to doing? There's an election coming up. I want to tell us about that, but do you see yourself becoming contending for the seat of the chairman? Now, interim, would you stay on and run for the chairmanship of the NDC?
Right now, my focus is the election. A number of things. One, I truly believe, based on the PM's visit to Canada in July 1st and July 2nd, between the town hall and the gala, I've never seen that much love and that much Canadian people come out together and pull together. So I know there's a love for country, right? The NDC happens to be the governing body in Grenada right now. And I see, as the NDC support group, it's an opportunity to cut through a lot of the red tapes that we might have had to fight, that our little efforts here could make a big impact in Grenada. And not just from a financial contribution, but from our voices, from, being able to, a lot of people are looking forward to retire back home or create a, an opportunity back home business-wise. We know what the issues are with the banks and stuff.
Yes.
I'm saying sometimes they never heard about our issues back home. And same thing when you're talking about the problem and frustration, that by us being able to articulate some of that, pool our resources, pool our knowledge, pool our experience, that with a government in place that's in line with our beliefs and what we envision for Grenada.
Right.
Our efforts are going to go a lot further.
Right.
Than when we fight in the government Grenada to do something. The Prime Minister invited us to, to come and do, they're willing to waive, certain taxes and stuff to get people back home. But we need somebody and a group to help us put our minds together, create a vision. And to me, that's why I like my position, is that I could help get the people together. There's right now, the Grenada groups are fractured into many different, how do you call it? And some of the issues in speaking to them, I know a lot of people have reached out and I've been talking and saying, what will it take? What does it take? And part of the problem is that sometimes the short-term vision we have. We do immediate stuff for immediate.
Shotgun kind of operation.
Exactly. Whereas if you're here and you've been here 10, 20 years, people want to believe that they're creating a legacy.
Right.
And if that legacy is going to be on the whim, that there's not a good foundation as an organization structure,
right?
Why am I investing my time?
Right, right.
We want to make it that, my vision is that, one, we get as much Grenadians involved in the NDC party, not for the politics. I know everybody says, well, it's the NDC, is the politics. But right now, this is an opportunity we have of a lifetime. It's been 20 years.
20 years. Yes.
That here we are, have an organization that is open to us supporting and doing stuff and accomplishing. Right. And I see that as a good opportunity to help out in that sense.
Right.
Going into the election, yes. There have been many calls and, asking if I would. My job, I can do both. So I've been in touch with the GS, and my focus for the next 2 weeks is we have members that's already ready to continue on with the process. We right now in the process of getting the tabulation and Google Forms done. We have a messaging out for people to share. We have a QR code that you could just put on your phone and just it's on the Facebook page, it's on the WhatsApp. We say share with your friends. You scan it, it gives you the application, it gives you a little information about the party and how that works. As a candidate, all you need to do is request a form from us. We'll put the email in the chat. And we'll send you the nomination form. We're asking for a small 2-minute video just about yourself and who you are, and we'll do the promotion for you. Right. So that we'll share with other members, share, right? But the big thing is membership is important. We need to get people to sign up.
Talk about the membership thing. How people get and become a member of the NDC Support Group Canada.
Well,
the process of
becoming the nice thing about it is that if you're a member of the NDC Support Group Canada, you're also a member of the NDC in Grenada.
Okay.
So you are free. You'll be able to vote as part of the election from here. If you're in Grenada, you can vote because you're officially a member of the party. Okay. Right. So you're registered. It costs $60 for a year's membership.
That's
I think EC about 35 Canadian. Once you pay it and you're a member and you're free to vote and participate in any of the activities. We're open to create more opportunities for benefits for people in the diaspora as well. We've been bouncing around ideas, and I think once the new leadership comes in, you're going to see unfolding of different things. We're hoping to have local action community like we used to have. We have people in Whitby. I know it's all the GTA, but it's we have 5-10 people there. Exactly. Yes. That's why Calgary, we got people out there, and we're hoping to that decentralize it, that we can have people organizing, sharing stuff in their local community.
Right.
And, if we go to Montreal, we can participate, and support each other.
Mm-hmm.
With technology, we don't all need to be in the same place at the same time.
Right.
Mean we can't share ideas and plan events and, so they're definitely looking at that. But as chair of the election steering committee, that's a goal. We're asking everybody to sign up, to grab the form from the web page, not the web page, the Facebook page. Mm-hmm. I think it's NDC support group, Toronto, I think right now, until it gets changed later on. And and come on, we got election in August 27th. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, share with your friends, share this program as well, and just get involved.
And that will be after the Grenada Day. Will you guys be in the Grenada Day trying to do membership drive or not? Or
again, a lot of that's come down suddenly on me. It wasn't a planned transition. Mm-hmm. But yes, we're looking at opportunities even with your stuff on Sunday. Saturday, if we could, be able to show up and just have the conversation. I said there's a QR code, and you can just give the person this QR code, and the form is right there. So you don't need big paperwork or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Some people still like traditional forms. We're willing to provide that, and most if anything, the email. I'll pull up the email there. But I think it's
you mentioned volunteers. You need volunteers who go to Google Docs and so on. How can contact you on the volunteer in the electoral process?
Yes. So
tell us how the process will work for people who will be voting. How it work for them when they register to vote? How do they go about voting? What the process in voting day comes? How do they go about voting?
So the email is ndccanadagroup@gmail.com. ndccanadagroup@gmail.com. And basically, Google Docs has a feedback feature. It can be sent directly to your phone, your tablet, your computer. And basically what we're doing this week, tomorrow and next Friday, is putting in the candidates into each position. And we once you're a registered member, whether your phone or your email, during the election, it'll be sent to you. You have 90 seconds to respond by clicking the person of your choice, and it comes back through the system. It will be monitored by Dr. Barry, which is the General Secretary of the NDC in Grenada. And we've reached out to some of the people who did it in New York and as well as Florida to help us monitor and do it. But we're looking for people who knows how to run the system, because if we are looking for position on the executive, we won't be involved anywhere with that, so that the elections are fair and unbiased. So again, the test run is basically to make sure that it's not your son's phone, and that when you get the message, you don't know how to open it. Right. So the phone, and if you can't access the Google Docs, we also doing it on WhatsApp.
Okay.
And if your phone's still not compatible with WhatsApp, maybe you still have an old dial phone, we do have a phone-in system where you register that phone number that you'll be able to access, and you could call it in or text it, and we'll know that text from you would be you in that situation. So there's 3 levels of, we want to make sure as many people as involved, and that too often we have elections and people say, it's not my representative. I'm not saying we like the US, but too often we're like, oh, well, I did. But, democracy is one of those things where we put our best foot forward, and that's why we're asking for candidates to come forward. You put your offering out there, and the response, in an open, fair election, everybody has a chance to vote. So if you choose not to be involved and don't vote, you can't. You shouldn't be able to complain and say, "Well, I wouldn't have choose this person."
Right.
And that's why we want to make sure whether you got a banger phone or you got the latest iPhone, you have an opportunity to reach. And even if it's going to a phone booth and calling and saying, "This is me."
Tell me something. What are the positions apart from the chairperson? What are the other positions available for candidacy?
Well, one of the things I advocated for was the largest possible under the convention. Again, we're moving from just a group. We actually working under the NDC convention constitution. So under the constitution, they got many configurations of executive group up to the number of 13.
Okay.
So we having a chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and there's a PRO, which is a public relations officer. There's we're looking at expanding for committees as well. They're full standing members. So you might not come with a portfolio, doesn't mean you're not going to be used. Right. And as we know, things are changing. One person can't be everywhere at the same time. So the idea is that the more people we have, there might be junior members, just like Olivia Cho just did her new executive at Toronto, City of Toronto today. You have some new members who have opportunities to fill in a role. We might be able to get somebody to shadow the chair so that you're in a position in succession planning that person. Most people might be intimidated being the treasurer. But what doesn't mean we can't have one of the 4 people work with the treasurer, learning.
Somebody have the experience to teach somebody to grow into.
And that's one of the things I love about the community activity is that you might not have the skill. Maybe you didn't believe in yourself. But the fact that you come forward and in a well-organized organization, you could get skills that you could take back out to the real world.
Exactly.
Because that becomes experience you've had. It might not be a paid experience, but you know what I mean. And those, to me, some of those are the opportunity. Get involved. Don't get involved just because it's a political thing. Get involved because one, you want to contribute to your local community in Canada, back home, and not only that, how could I improve myself? A lot of people are retired and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't want to get involved in politics." Get involved because you have experience. You got skills. You got, knowledge that would benefit us as a group. Even if you're a side member or a member just advising to the, we need everybody involved. It's not just the executive. But the nice thing about a larger executive is that when you come down to decisions, it's usually quorum. And quorum means at least 50 plus 1. So if you have a 5-member executive, that's only 3 people. Whereas a group of 10 or 13 or 11 or 13, you're looking at least 6, 7 people in a room to really have a good discussion and a
consensus. Yes. I know you make mention of you grew up in the church and the leadership and everything going here. And you've been doing, based on my recent association with you, your leadership has showed up in a lot of ways here for me. And learning more about you tonight, being in the church and being involved in a semi-political situation here, how do you merge the gap? And people say, your church should be involved in politics, but as an individual, you have a right to be involved in politics. How do you do transition? How the politics and your religion and your spirituality in that whole aspect of being involved and organizing political organization like NBC now? How do you see yourself as that person? Like more like a mediator in between the two. Bridging the gap.
Would you say Jesus was a political figure?
I would say that.
The Romans fell so
he was. He was. And he was the biggest advocate for social change and social justice.
Exactly. And really that's where my heart is at. It's like seeing a need. Like during the COVID, I had a lot of my employees, which are South Asian background, couldn't understand what was going on. We as Christians knew that pestilence would happen and this would happen.
Part of what is prophesied to be. Yes.
Exactly. So I started literally from my backyard. I started a a ministry called Lessons from the Garden with Garner. And we have about 50 videos on YouTube now and stuff. But basically what it was sending message of encouragement, but I'll send a picture with a question and a text. Something really simple and silly. I had a banana, a lemon, and I tied it on a tomato tree, on an apple tree, and I did different pictures. And the question was, what plant is it? And the text was, by the fruit you will know them.
Right.
And that's how it did. That's how the ministry started. People would, and we'll chat, and it went on that after about a year, people asked for videos, because I'll send a little message of encouragement, and and now we have over 50 videos, and we have, I think we have people on there, but yes, it's finding the need, whether it's political or not. As I said, I didn't come in here to be chair. I didn't come in here looking for position. But I saw a need, and I'm more than willing to step up. And we need more of us to step up.
Yes,
and not just right here, your community. So actually, part of I moved during the pandemic, and with the Lessons from the Garden, I moved to an older neighborhood where I noticed that nobody's planting in the gardens. And what happened? The people were too old. So last year we started growing plants in the spring, and network with the city and stuff, and basically would offer a couple plants. We bought a tiller, and we as part of the Lessons of the Garden ministry, we wanted to help out and get them put a couple in. But guess what? During the rest of the summer, when I knock the door, do you think they're going to be like, who is this guy?
They know who you are.
Right? So then we can have a conversation. As long as they're breathing, there's hope for salvation.
Right.
So, it's really balancing that all out.
All right. Well, folks, we've been here with Mr. Garner, Liverpool, the chair of the NDC support group, Canada support group. And we were talking about his life, his journey. I could say to the crown, but his journey in the leadership, and putting the election committee together and preparing for the 27th of August, when the election for the new chairman, new executive will be held. If you need to get involved, is there a phone number they could call?
Yes, 416-427-8659. And again, NDC support group @gmail.com if you want to get any of the emails, the packages. We have a registration package, we have a history of the NDC package, and we do have a candidate package. The only thing, you need to be a member by the 25th to be able to vote and to run. Well, we're asking that anybody interested, we're looking at doing a promotional video with all the candidates in the different categories. So we're asking that if somebody was interested, do a little video on your phone, email it to us, and we'll include it in there. And, just we say bio, but just like who you are, what's your interest, what's your 416-427 8659. And the email is NDC Group Canada. Oh, sorry, let me double check that. NDC Canada Group. CNAD Group @gmail.com. And as I said, it's the .com. And it's a good opportunity to get involved. Maybe you've been in Canada a long time, and you didn't really have any reason to get involved. Again, yes, it's politics, but it's making a difference here. Making a difference back home. And the nice thing about being part of our organization, you as members, you as the executive, help to decide the direction of the organization. So maybe it didn't go where you wanted it to go the last time. Get involved, support, put your voice out, put yourself forward, and let people hear your ideas. And that's really what it's about. I couldn't care less about the politics, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with people.
Yes,
we're dealing with a need. If Grenada was, Kuwait, one of the Middle East countries punching oil, and you know what I mean.
We're making money.
We want to be here saying, you know, let's do something back home. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there are different projects we could take on. Again, with the NDC government in place, we encourage as members in the diaspora to participate.
Well, we're moving forward, and that is a message that is resonated in the new NDC moving forward.
Yes.
With transformation taking place, and they say they have the best Mitchell, and we're like, yes. And we have to involve. I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs said this is not just an NDC government, it's a Grenadian government.
It is,
and we have to participate, whether you use NDC or NNP. It's a Grenadian government for all.
Yes.
It's inclusive of everybody.
So
get involved. The whole island. Yes, improve the whole island from Petite Martinique down to Grenada. Right? So we're in the process of transformation. That's what it is.
Yes.
And the new NDC executive will be following suit as to the new transformation, as it is said to be. All right, Mr. Ghana, thank you so much for being here.
I got one more plug. In September, actually, that's another group I've started over 10 years ago.
Okay.
It's called Children of the Revolution. And the idea is still, there's a lot of people like me who came here, who was children during the revolution, and have traveled all over the world.
Like myself.
We'll be asking for nominations in different categories, and we'll be starting with Children of the Revolution Canada, and basically asking you to highlight people, whether it's in music, in arts, in the community service, whatever. And we want to do a documentary for the 50th anniversary.
Okay, of the revolution.
Of the independence.
All right, independence.
Right, because that'll be more of the younger people who might not be, you know, I mean, the bigger political people.
Right.
We're talking about grassroots people who saw and got that spirit of the revolution and continue. Maybe they not even want to know why they're doing it.
Exactly.
but they continue on that spirit of community service, of helping, of drawing. So we'll be launching that through Google Docs and stuff, and asking for nominations starting in September.
Great. I mean, you, myself, and there are many people listening who are product of the revolution.
Yes.
We were all taught and brought up in that same era. And look at us today. We're still, based on our teachings and our involvement in the youth organization, the pioneer movement, and so on, we have taken our dream, our vision, based on what we was taught and how we was encouraged and empowered.
Yes.
We use that same skill set that we was taught during that period to enhance and to develop our own entity for ourselves and community.
And that's why part of the goal from the vision of the Children of Revolution was to empower those people to somehow give back to Grenada. And that's why with me, I'm excited that the government is, as the Book of Esther says, have been brought to this place at this time. And we do have an opportunity that we could actually make an impact.
Right. So again, folks, if you want to make a contribution, feel free. The contact information is there. And if you want to become a candidate, also the information is there. And you can follow up and call, make a phone call to Mr. Ghana and members of the organization, where you can submit your intention to take part and to be part of the process. All right. So again, I want to thank Mr. Ghana. And any closing remarks that you'd like to make to the audience?
Time is of the essence. If you're thinking about it and you need encouragement, speak to somebody. If you have neighbors, friends, say, guess what? The NDC is having an election, get involved. We have, I'll share on GEM-FM, I'll share the QR code and the other links. So if you just want to click on it and put in the application form. If you got questions, we're willing to answer. And looking forward to having a nice election where we have some more voices, and and not just voices, but people who are willing to step up and contribute to building a great organization.
Something that's come to mind. A lot of people want to be leaders, but they just want to be positional leaders, not working leaders, not servant leaders. And that's another thing I think lacking a lot in leadership, servant leadership. And based on my conversation here with you this evening, you have been a servant leader. And I think that is one of the things that people should be looking for when they voting for somebody in the candidate. Jesus said, and I want to go drop that in. I was reading last night Mark chapter 10, where James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus. And they want to serve one person. I said, it's not mine to give. But can you drink of the cup that I drink of? Can we be baptized with the baptism that I'm baptized with? With all should we be baptized? However, not only the other disciples, the other 10 got upset because all of us walking here, why you want to be sitting? But Jesus interestingly said, it is not for me to give, but for who it is prepared. Leadership, he said, if you want to be a leader, become a servant. Be able to lead, be able to serve, be able to make that sacrifice, to give your life a ransom. So leadership is big time sacrifice and service.
Yes, and that means putting yourself behind. Again, a good leader delegates the people in their team with the best skills to do the same jobs.
Yes.
Right? You know, if I'm not a secretary, I'm not going to say, I want to take the notes for every meeting. Right?
You want to be body.
Exactly. and that's where
and service is important.
Exactly.
And your level of service will determine your level of leadership.
Yes.
So be always
delegated. Being able to delegate and trust the team that you're part of that one body, have a common goal. And part of your job as a leader is to make that goal very clear. Right. So, you know, you take the ideas, put it together, and kind of show people how they feel. And because too often we hear the complaint that, nobody does anything or they don't do this. Sometimes they don't understand and you weren't clear enough. So as a leader, you got to take responsibility. When the team isn't working, you need to realize you
vision have to be clear.
Very clear and you know, empower them. You know what I mean? You give them, trust them, because you're not dealing with children. No. And I always say to my employees, you can't make adults do anything.
No, it's important.
You need to empower them, give them the whatever they need to be
able to tools
to go out and be able to do that. And then you know, you set timelines and you know, I mean, and you get a report and be open. Because sometimes leaders don't want to hear there's a problem. You said you're gonna do it, right? But so guess what? When the time comes and the time is expired, what did you do? It's like the parable with the one talent.
Exactly.
I'm not coming back and tell you because you're a fearsome leader, and I don't want to disappoint you.
That's not what the people must have fed the leader. Yeah, there was no fed leader. Always you have to empower yourself. You get that opportunity to do serve, just serve, and be your best at it. Thank you so much, my brother. And those who are listening, this is Gem FM. I'm your host, the Sheriff. Yours truly, John Calise. It has been a plumb pleasing pleasure, and what a privilege to be here tonight with Mr. Ghana Liverpool from Grenada, St. Patrick's to be exact. And Madays, Madays, yes. I'm really from Luton, so that's what we're doing. Yes.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to close with one song. We have the best Mitchell, and we like it.
Towards achieving them, or do we want a society where we get up and say whatever happens happens? That is ultimately the test that we must pass. A society does not improve by chance. We don't become wealthy by chance.
We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best Mitchell and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Oh gosh, Deacon intelligent. Wow, he's so magnificent. Oh gosh, the people he represent. Yes, and he will not relent. Oh gosh, the country about heart. Not an opinion, that is a fact. With Deacon, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right. Stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Voting Deacon for Prime Minister. Oh, for a prosperous Grenada. Let's travel this part together. Oh, with Deacon on our side, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. We have a charismatic young leader. Carving a bright future is the mantra. Our sweet country going through well. The captain to steady ship is Deacon Mitchell. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it.
And we have the power. We, the citizens of Grenada, have that power. And so I repeat, take part in the political process. If you want to change the narrative of the political process, if you want to move it from being destructive and negative and in the gutter, take part. If that's not what you stand for, take part and change the narrative, change the culture, so that we can ultimately change our society.
Father, we just give you thanks and praise for all the years, months, weeks, and days you have guided us, showed us your mercy, your love. We give you praise. Father, we give you thanks for rising up this morning, for health and strength and life so we could go forward. And though the road is rough and the journey is long, but we got to take our time just to jump this one. So if you live in life and you love this life, then just give thanks for life, cause everything's alright. Let God be by your side as your shield and guide, and everything's alright. So let we have a good time, celebrating life, living. Give thanks and living. Don't bother about mind your brother, don't bother about mind your sister, living. Give thanks and living. Father, we give it thanks for all that you have done. The good times, bad times, times that we had fun. So many mistakes we've made, but we have learned. Now it's our time to give you praises in this song. So if you live in life and you love this life, then just give thanks for life, cause everything's alright. Let God be by your side as your shield and guide, and everything's alright. So let we have a good time, celebrating life, living. Give thanks and living. Don't bother about mind your brother, don't bother about mind your sister, living. Give thanks and living. Father, we give you thanks for every lesson we learned. Sometimes it was rough, but it made us strong. But mind them the wicked we have overcome. So now we give you praises as life goes on. I know I'm living life, cause I love this life. I got it thanks for life, and everything's alright. I got you by my side as my shield and guide, and everything's alright. So then we have a good time, celebrating life, living. Give thanks and living. Don't bother about mind your brother, don't bother about mind your sister, living. Give thanks and